Good morning. My name is Tom. Today's video, we're going to talk about being lost. Again, this is all part of your series. But today we're going to talk about you're lost, but you're really only twisted. So what can I do here in the next few minutes to get myself untwisted? How do you get yourself untwisted before you actually settle down and say, well, I guess I'm spending the night? Or I'm spending 2 or 3 days because there's no way that I can find my way out of here. So I'll see you in the video, and that's what we're talking about today. How do we get untwisted? How do we get untwisted? Good morning. My name is Tom. I come to you from Beaver Creek Outpost. It's where I come to hang out, hunt deer, all kinds of stuff I do down in here. Absolutely love it here in Beaver Creek. But today's video, we're talking about I'm lost, I'm twisted, and are there things that I can do to get myself untwisted? There is. Believe it or not, there are things you can do to get yourself untwisted. So what are they? Well, first of all, you've decided that you are twisted. Or you've decided you're lost. You've made a circle in there, and you have decided, I have no idea how to get myself out of here. Well, here's the first thing you do. Take a break. Take a break. You've probably been moving pretty fast, pretty far to get yourself in this situation. So let's take 5 minutes. Sit down on a log. If you got a thermos of coffee with you, now's a good time to have a sip of coffee. And think about where you're at. Think about how you got here. And think about the country you just crossed. You know, think about, was I climbing? You know, was I going uphill? Was I going downhill? Was I only supposed to go to the peak of the ridge and work my way down? Or was I supposed to go to the peak of the ridge and I found myself going down over the other side? That's a difference in finding a simple way out. You know, if I was supposed to not, you know, if you're in ridges and stuff like that, and you're not supposed to drop down the other side, then you could find yourself in a whole bunch of problems over there. If you're at the peak and you've decided that you're twisted and you haven't dropped down over the other side, well, you can walk back downhill. If you went uphill, obviously water runs downhill, so let's run downhill with it. As long as you didn't cross the other side. If you went up to the peak, of the ridge or the mountain that you're on, and you slipped down over the back side of it, you got to kind of figure that out. Make sure that you haven't done that. But let's say you haven't, so you're up there, and I'm lost, I'm twisted. Let's see, I know I'm parked down at the base of this stuff. I'll come out of the woods somewhere. Might not be exactly where I want to come out of the woods, but I'll come out somewhere where I can find a pickup truck. You know, I've been chasing rabbit dogs. One day I had a beagle that got lost. Went home that night and left the next morning. My wife said, "When will you be back?" I said, "I'll be back when I got my dog." Period. So I went back to where I left my coat overnight. Sometimes that'll help. You throw your coat on the ground, the dog will be sleeping on it when you get there in the morning. So I went back to where I went back to the last place I knew the dog was, and I picked up her tracks and I followed her. I tracked her for miles. Miles. What she was thinking, I'll never know. I crossed camp roads. I crossed lakes. She went across the big lake. And tractor across that lake, tractor up over, you know, camp lots. You know, it was in central Maine, so it was a matter of just going, keeping an eye on her. But the problem is, now I wasn't twisted, but where I was, I had no idea where I was. You know, I came out into a little town, you know, on one of them old back roads, and trying to think if on that particular hunt, if I had the dog, because she did it twice. The first time or second time, she ended up, I called her and she come running down the road, lickety split. She was on somebody's porch eating cat food. So she was surviving. She found something to eat. But anyways, I think it was the second time. I finally caught up to her, and I caught up to a road where I got her. We kept going the direction we was on. Got myself out to a backcountry road, but I had no idea where I was. So you can be in town and still be lost. It's just my pickup was about 10 miles away. Honest to God, my pickup was a long ways away, because I knew what town I was in. I just didn't know where I was. You know, because I know the area. I mean, you don't live in an area and not know the next town over. I knew what town I was in. I just didn't know where in that town I was. So anyways, I got the dog. I got the 12-gauge shotgun. I've got my peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And we're walking down the road and flagged down the first car. All I wanted to know was where I was, so I'd have some idea of how far I had to walk. And that nice old couple, they picked me up. It was 2 miles into town, so they brought me 2 miles into town. Back then it was still, we had payphones. So back then we had payphone. Boy, this video has gotten way off track. But anyways, we had payphones back then. I knew my buddy worked third shift, so I knew he was home. And I knew he was the kind of guy that would, if I called and said I needed help, he would be there in a very short time. So I put my dime in the payphone. I called his house, and he lives in Alaska now. His name is Kenny. I said, Kenny, I need some help. Sorry, I know you're probably sleeping, but I need some help. I said, my dog got lost yesterday. I've ended up over here in town, and told him where I was, and I told him where my pickup was. I said, by road, I'm about 15 miles from my pickup. Going back through the woods, it's about 10 miles. I said, and this is, I can't do it. I'd already been in the woods since 8 o'clock that morning, and it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon now. So for me to walk back across the lake, up over the mountain, down over to get to where we actually went in rabbit hunting, I didn't want no part of that at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So anyway, Kenny come and got me. We loaded up and brought me back to where my pickup truck was. So that ends that story. Had nothing to do with how to work yourself out. But that's how I worked myself out of that problem. How's that sound? God only knows where that came from. Anyways, you're on the mountain. As long as you haven't crossed the top of the mountain, you just need to work yourself back down the mountain. As long as you haven't gone down over the backside of it, you can work yourself down the mountain and get out to hopefully the road. Hopefully you've taken some time to look over a blue atlas. I know everybody nowadays, GPS and maps on your phone. Get out of that habit. Don't be so foolish. Don't be so stupid. That is not a survival technique. Don't do it. Don't fall into that trap. If you do it with me, I'm going to slap you. That's just not. Get yourself a Maine Blue Atlas. Mark it up. Write in it. Draw in it. Rip maps out if you have to. These books are cheap. You know, what are they, $20-something? 20, maybe back when I was getting them, they were 14, 15, and 19. I've got new ones, I've got old ones. If you're going to be rabbit hunting in an area, or you're going to be deer hunting in an area, go to that page that's in that book. Cut it out of the book. If you've got an old book, cut it out of the book. You can label it. You can label it, and you can keep it. You can fold it up. You can put it in a Ziploc freezer bag, gallon-sized freezer bag, and you've got the map with you all day long. Don't rely on that stupid Google it. Don't rely on your cell phone map. Don't rely on that GPS. Have the map in your pocket. Have the map in your pocket and have a compass on your neck. That's rule number one there, as far as being able to take care of yourself. You know, especially if I talked about one of these videos, especially if you're the guy that's jumped in the vehicle with someone else and they've taken you out hunting for the day and you're going to go this way and he's going to go this way. You just separated yourself from the guy that knows the area. Just by that simple fact. Have that map in your pocket. Have the, you know, okay, we're going to be hunting over here. Have that with you. You can take your compass reading off it. You can mark on that map where you're at. I do have a GPS unit, but don't rely on that. But on that GPS unit, I will get my my coordinates, and you can figure it out on that map easily. Put an X, GPS mark on that map right there at the pickup when you're getting ready to leave, or you're getting ready to head out rabbit hunting or deer hunting, and then you'll, all day long, you'll have a map in your pocket where you gotta go. It's that simple. You can take a compass reading off that map, and if anything happens with your electronics, you're not screwed. All right, something else made it in there. So anyways, that's another point. Ripping apart one of them Maine atlases and always having a map in your pocket. One of the other ways to figure out how to get yourself back to the pickup truck is, and it's going to take a big tree. You don't know, right now you're lost, so you have no, obviously you don't have a compass with you, because if you had a compass with you, then you could find your north reading easily enough. But in today's newfangled age, like we talked about here a minute ago, I'm afraid that the people taking the time to own a compass, learn a compass, and more than just have it in their day bag is going by the wayside. Stupid, 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 stupid. Have your compass with you. I put mine on my neck. It's always there. I got a spare compass in my day bag. Never go anywhere without at least two of them. But say you've left your compass at home. Let's say you left it. You own it, but you left it. If you find a big tree, big fir tree, big hardwood tree, anything big, it has to be a big tree, because it needs to be able to shade moisture. Find yourself, I look for 2 or 3. If I was in that position, I would want a couple of trees. And what you're looking for is moss. Moss will grow on the north side of a tree, as long as it doesn't dry out. You know, small tree, it's not going to moisture up enough to keep moss back there growing. But moss is always on the north side of the tree on these big ones. So now you know there's the moss. Now you at least know north. So now you know where north is. Now you're automatically going to know where south is, east and west. So that's, you know, now you at least got some idea. You take, like, it's been rainy, cloudy here for the last 3 days. Sun rises in the east, sets in the west. It doesn't do you a bit of good to know that on a cloudy day. A fogged in day like we were talking about, and read these comments. The comments that are coming in this series are tremendous. People telling their stories. Well worth reading. Because they are real hunters, real fishermen, real outdoorsmen that are sharing their knowledge and sharing their story as to what happened to them over the course of, say, 50 or 60 years. Everybody's got a story when it comes to this stuff, because otherwise than that, you've only hunted these little plots of land in town. Well, you shouldn't get lost in there anyways. But anyway, so you know north, you know south, you know east, you know west. Boom. Now make your plan from there. If you've got your map, you can center that map now. The top of every map is north. The bottom of every map is south. That's simple. So now you got your tree. Your tree's telling you which way north is. Take your map and orientate your map. Bingo! Light bulb going off. Now you can look at your map, and you don't know quite where you are, but you do know the pickup and the road is south of you. Bingo! Now you can start heading south, and eventually you're going to find the hot top, and eventually you're going to find your pickup. So just by reading that tree and having that skill of being able to figure out north, south, east, and west will help you get back to the pickup. But again, it revolves on having a map that you ripped out of the Maine Atlas. Why do I say that? Because the Maine Atlas has every topo map for the entire state of Maine. Why in the world anybody would travel around hunting and fishing in the state of Maine without 2 or 3 of those blue atlases, I'll never know. Like I said, I got a brand new one that I keep. I keep one for my wife. I leave that on the desk at home. And this is the area I'm hunting. This is the map I'm hunting. I have it opened up for her. On that same page, I put telephone numbers, Maine Game Warden Service, all that stuff. So all she's got to say is, bum bum, he's in trouble. These are all techniques that I picked up way, way, way back before we had cell phones. Now, but even still, why would you want to depend on that cell phone? All you got's a dead battery. You get a dead battery, you ain't got a cell phone. Let's have a couple other plans in play that have been in play since the beginning of time. This is going to be a long video, and I really don't care. This stuff is important. There's enough garbage out there on YouTube that it's time somebody sat down and talked about some of these old ways and the foolishness, you know, the old school versus the foolishness that's going on. You're placing your eggs, too many of your eggs are going in the same basket when you rely on electronics to get you in and out of the woods. And not only that, what pride is that? There's no pride in that. How about having some old school pride and knowing how to take care of yourself out in the woods? Big deal there. To me it is anyways. That's what I want in my grandsons. I want them to have some old school pride, that they know when they walk up to the side of the tree, they know what that means, that there's moss on the north side. It's not just look at this pretty tree with some pretty moss growing on the back of it. You know, that's not, you know. There's lots of ways that you can untwist yourself when you get yourself twisted in the woods. There's just lots of ways of doing it. But you got to sit down and think about it. You just can't. You know, jump and go, jump and go. And then, the same deal here. We have lots and lots of streams. You got the moss on the tree. And this has been known since the beginning of time. If you get yourself lost out in the Maine forest, you have no idea what to follow. I mean, to me, this is the worst of all, because God only knows where that stream is going to go. But if you've got nothing else to follow, you are lost beyond lost, and you are intent on finding your way out of here, and you come across the stream, follow the stream, follow it downstream. Every drop of water in the state of Maine ends up in the Atlantic Ocean eventually. And it doesn't get to the Atlantic Ocean by way of that small stream. So that small stream is going to flow down. It's going to meet a bigger stream. And then it's going to meet a bigger stream. And then it's going to meet a river. And then the river is going to fall right into the Atlantic Ocean. But meantime, that stream is going to come out to a road somewhere. Eventually, that stream will come out to a dirt road. Eventually, that stream will come out to a what's the word I'm looking for? Wood chopping. Eventually, that stream is going to come out to logging roads. It's going to come out to skidder roads. That's another great technique from the old days, because we still do work in the woods. But anyways, eventually following that stream out will get you to a road. Now don't cross that road and keep right on a going. When you get to that road, you need to figure out left or right. Left, the road will end up in the woods going nowhere. Right, the road goes back to your pickup truck or goes back to town, something. So you need to figure out which way the road's going, which way is out. It's the same thing with a skidder trail. Which way is the main lead and which way is just the fingers that go in. If you're on a dirt road, most of the time, they're not complete T's. You know, what I mean by that is, most of the time, if you're coming in a pretty good dirt road driving it, and you need to take a right, it's usually not a complete T. You know, a 90-degree turn for that road. It'll have a road that comes down to a point, so it kind of just comes off the road, left or right. What I mean, you know, they kind of meet like this instead of like this. So when they meet like this at an angle, then that means town is that way most of the time. Most of the time. If it's, you know, I'm not going to say you'll never find a T, but most of the time, and you look, when you find that right there, look in the tracks. Look for pickup truck tracks. Which way are the majority of them going? Is there a lot of them going, you know, to that Y? Or is it only a few? If there's a lot, then that is the main road, so you wanna book it that way. And then just stay on that road until you get yourself out. Even if it means, you know, because out there, eventually, especially in deer season, especially in bird season, eventually somebody's going to be crossing your path that's driving a vehicle and can help you out. Flag them down. Flag them down, tell them the situation, and I can't imagine anybody not trying to take some time and help you out. So well, I know that this particular video of I Am Lost has covered a lot of ground and is very, very long. So, I don't know where we'll head from here, but I will have some more on this. That's all, you know, there's so many tips and tricks that are laying out there in the woods for you to figure out how to untwist yourself, that I think aren't taught anymore or aren't talked about anymore. And if you ever find yourself in that situation, some of these things could truly save your bacon. And that's why I'm taking the time to work on this series right now. I really do think that, and I want this for my grandsons. I mean, you guys are coming along for the ride. But this stuff right here, I am getting ready to really crack down on my grandsons with, because they're of age where it's time. They need to take, I'm going to take them way out in the woods, and then I am going to tell them to get us back to the pickup truck. And that's where the two oldest ones, that's where they're at in their abilities anyways, out in the woods. So, hey, we got more on this topic, and I will see you next week.